Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a moment and think about this. Every person who rises to greatness, every leader, every person of influence, every individual who steps into a position of authority, did they just wake up one day and receive that power? No. Power does not arrive randomly. Authority is never handed to someone without a process, and that process always begins long before the visible blessing. That process is what we call testing. God tests character before he gives power. Now, understand this: power in itself is not a reward. Power is a responsibility, and a responsibility without the foundation of character becomes a curse, not a blessing. It is easy to admire the position, to see the title, to envy the influence, but very few stop to ask what kind of person is this individual, what is in their heart, what is in their soul. Because the truth is, God does not entrust power to those whose character is weak, whose discipline is inconsistent, whose humility is absent. He does not. And that is because power, when given without preparation, will reveal the person more than it reveals the mission. Think about it. You can give a person great authority, and if their character is flawed, you will quickly see it manifest. Arrogance will rise. Greed will grow. Decisions will be clouded by selfish desire. But when God tests a person, he is not being cruel. He is being intentional. He is not delaying blessing. He is developing readiness. He is shaping the inner life, refining the heart, and establishing a foundation so that when the power arrives, it will be used wisely. It will be used for purpose. It will be used to influence and elevate rather than destroy. Testing is not punishment. Testing is preparation. God knows that every level of influence carries a weight, a responsibility that can only be carried by someone who has proven themselves faithful in the unseen. That is why the promotion never comes to the one who is impatient, to the one who complains, to the one who cuts corners when no one is watching. God is not just looking at your success, he is examining your integrity. He is observing your decisions in the small matters, because small matters reveal the real person. If you cannot be trusted with a little, how will you handle much? And listen carefully, power is seductive. Authority is tempting. Without character, it will bend the person to its will rather than the person bending it to the purpose of God. That is why the testing comes first. That is why the waiting is necessary. It is not just about what you will receive. It is about who you are becoming while you wait. Because when you understand this, when you grasp this principle, your perspective changes. Your struggles, your delays, your disappointments, they are not obstacles, they are training grounds. They are the quiet workshops where God builds resilience, patience, wisdom, and discernment. Many people pray for power. They pray for promotion. They pray for influence. But they are not prepared to be tested. They are not prepared for the refinement that precedes the reward. And this is where the difference lies between someone who rises and sustains greatness and someone who rises quickly only to fall just as fast. The testing of character is deliberate, precise, and intentional. It is meant to reveal the hidden things, your motives, your patience, your integrity, your faith under pressure. You see, power in the wrong hands is dangerous. But power in the hands of someone whose character has been proven is transformative. It changes communities, it changes nations, it changes lives. That is why the principle is so clear: God never elevates until he examines. He never entrusts until he tests. And those who understand this principle begin to see the value not just in the blessing itself, but in the preparation, in the process, in the journey that molds them into someone who can bear the weight of influence without being crushed by it. And so, as we begin to explore this idea together, I want you to hear this: the tests you face, the challenges, the delays, the frustrations, they are not signs that God has forgotten you. No, they are evidence that He is at work within you, developing a foundation of character that will make the power you seek not just attainable, but sustainable. The question is not whether you will receive power. It is whether you will be ready to handle it. And that readiness, that preparation, begins with the small, unseen moments of your life, the choices you make when no one is watching, the discipline you practice when the reward is not yet visible, the faith you hold when circumstances are contrary. These are the elements that God examines before He entrusts authority. These are the markers of character that distinguish those who are merely ambitious from those who are truly appointed. Because you must understand this, without character, power is a liability. But with character, power becomes a tool for fulfillment, for purpose, for impact. And God does not want you to merely rise, He wants you to rise rightly. That is why the test comes first. That is why patience is required. That is why the refining process cannot be skipped. Now, I want you to imagine for a moment what it would mean to receive influence without that preparation. How quickly would decisions be misused? How easily would pride take hold? How swiftly would destruction follow? And then contrast that with someone whose character has been tested, whose patience has been proven, whose integrity is unshakable. This person carries power, and power carries purpose, because the foundation is solid, because the heart has been refined, because God has confirmed the readiness. And as we go deeper into this tonight, I want you to reflect on your own life, on your own journey. Where has God been testing you? Where has He been stretching you, shaping you, even when it felt uncomfortable or inconvenient? Where has He been inviting you into discipline, into patience, into faithfulness, so that when the season of increase comes, you will not be overwhelmed, but will rise with wisdom, with strength, with clarity of purpose? The truth is, testing is not optional. It is not a side note. It is central to the process of becoming the person who can handle the power God intends for you. And understanding this principle transforms how you view your challenges, how you respond to setbacks, how you endure delays. You begin to see them not as hindrances, but as preparation. You begin to see the unseen hand of God shaping you, molding you, equipping you for what is to come. And let me tell you this, the tests you face are never random. They are tailored to reveal what is already inside of you. God does not test to see what you can do. He tests to reveal who you are. Just like a goldsmith does not put gold into the fire to create something new, but to refine what is already there, to remove the impurities, to bring out the luster, to make it worthy of value. Your trials are the furnace, your struggles are the flame, and your character is what is being refined until it shines with the integrity required to carry the weight of influence. Think about it. How do you know whether a person is truly strong? You do not know in a moment of ease. Strength is never measured when life is calm. Strength is measured when the storm hits, when pressures mount, when expectations rise and distractions tempt. That is the test. That is the moment that reveals the core of the individual. And God's testing works the same way. It is in the pressure, in the delay, in the frustration, in the moments when you could choose to compromise, to cut corners, to give up, that your real character is revealed. And here is something I want you to hear carefully. Many people mistake testing for punishment. They look at the waiting, the struggle, the opposition, and they cry out, "Why me? Why is this happening?" But testing is not punishment. It is preparation for power. It is the proving ground for the heart. Just as a tree planted in rocky soil must develop deep roots to survive the storms, you too must grow deep roots of faith, of integrity, of perseverance, so that when the winds of responsibility blow, you do not break. I want you to see this principle in another way. Imagine a pilot preparing for a flight. The plane might be powerful. It might have every instrument, every capacity to soar across continents. But if the pilot has not trained, if the pilot has not been tested in simulations, in turbulence, in emergency scenarios, giving the plane to that pilot is dangerous. You would not entrust the lives of others to an untested hand. Power works the same way. God tests you so that when the authority comes, when the influence arrives, you are capable of navigating it with wisdom, discernment, and responsibility. And notice this, the tests are not always obvious. Sometimes they are quiet, subtle, almost imperceptible. It is not always a dramatic storm. Sometimes it is a whisper of discipline in the mundane. The daily choices, the consistency of integrity, when no one is watching, the faithfulness in small matters, these are all tests. And it is these small tests, often overlooked, that prepare you for the larger opportunities that will one day appear. Small decisions today determine the capacity for greatness tomorrow. Small acts of obedience, small demonstrations of patience, small moments of courage, they all add up to the character required to handle great responsibility. And here is a deeper truth. Testing is not just about endurance, it is about alignment. God is not simply looking to see if you can survive. He is looking to see if your heart, your mind, your vision, your purpose are aligned with His. Power that is misaligned with purpose is destructive. Influence that is not rooted in principle becomes toxic. That is why the testing is so precise, so personal, so exact. God is shaping not just your ability to handle authority, but your ability to handle it rightly. He is building in you discernment, wisdom, patience, and humility, all the qualities that distinguish a leader who elevates from one who exploits. And let us not forget, testing also teaches discernment. The person who has never been tested often mistakes every opportunity for blessing. They rush into positions, they seize influence without caution, and they fail because they never learn to wait, to observe, to understand the responsibility that comes with power. But the one who has been tested recognizes that not every door is meant to be opened immediately. They understand timing, they understand strategy, and most importantly, they understand themselves. And here is what many people miss: God's testing is never wasted. Even the setbacks, the delays, the frustrations, they all serve a purpose. They are like a sculptor chiseling away the rough edges of a block of marble, revealing the masterpiece within. And the more you resist the temptation to compromise, the more you embrace the refinement process, the more God is able to prepare you for the influence that is coming. The testing builds depth, it builds perspective, it builds resilience. It teaches you to carry power without being carried away by it. Now, consider this analogy: a ship is not proven in calm waters. It is proven in the storm, when waves crash and the winds howl. And the captain is tested not when the sea is still, but when every decision counts, every action matters, every moment requires focus and courage. In the same way, God tests character in the turbulence of life. Every pressure, every trial, every temptation is an opportunity to reveal whether you are prepared to steer the ship of influence when it is entrusted to you. And as we continue to explore this tonight, I want you to start asking yourself the hard questions. What am I learning in my testing? How am I responding to the pressures, the delays, the moments when no one is watching? Am I allowing God to shape me, or am I resisting because it is uncomfortable? Am I growing deeper in wisdom, patience, and integrity, or am I rushing toward reward without preparation? Because the way you answer these questions today determines how you will handle the authority tomorrow. The testing is not an interruption. It is the instruction. It is not an obstacle. It is the opportunity. And every faithful moment in your preparation is a deposit into the account of your future responsibility, so that when the time comes, you will not stumble under the weight, you will not falter under expectation, you will not be overwhelmed by the responsibility that God is ready to place in your hands. And let me remind you of something vital. Testing also teaches stewardship. You see, it is one thing to receive power, it is another thing to manage it responsibly. God does not give what you cannot handle. That is a principle you must understand. Every trial, every moment of restraint, every opportunity to choose integrity over convenience is preparing you to steward the influence that is coming. Just as a gardener does not give a fragile plant to harsh conditions without strengthening its roots, God will not give you authority without strengthening your character. Consider the example of a vessel. A vessel may appear beautiful, but its value is measured by what it can contain and how it responds under pressure. Some vessels crack, some leak, some break because they were not tested. Others endure because they have been strengthened in the hidden places. Your character is that vessel. The testing shapes it, reinforces it, seals it so that it can carry power without being destroyed, so that it can contain influence without spilling into chaos. And notice this, testing also produces clarity. When God tests you, He is showing you where you truly stand. He is revealing not only what you can handle, but what you cannot. Many people only discover their weaknesses when power is already in their hands, and by then it is too late. But God, in His wisdom, puts you in situations where you can see your own limitations so that you can grow, so that you can adjust, so that when the blessing comes, you are not surprised, you are prepared. Let me give you another perspective. A musician cannot perform a symphony without first practicing scales, without rehearsing, without enduring hours of repetition. And the more complex the performance, the more disciplined the preparation must be. Power and influence are the same. God is training you in the small things, in the rehearsals of life, so that when the symphony of responsibility begins, you can perform with excellence, with precision, with grace. And here is another truth that few people see. The testing is also relational. God tests how you handle people, how you respond to criticism, how you treat those who have no power, how you respond to those who cannot repay you. Because authority is never exercised in isolation. Influence always intersects with the lives of others. And if your character is not tested in these areas, the power you receive will be misused. The way you treat people in ordinary circumstances reveals how you will handle power in extraordinary circumstances. Consider the analogy of a tree bearing fruit. You do not measure its strength by the beauty of its leaves. You measure it by the quality of its fruit. And the fruit is revealed over time through seasons of challenge, through periods of drought, through exposure to the elements. Character, like the fruit of the tree, is revealed in how you respond over time, not in a moment of ease or convenience. And God's testing exposes what kind of fruit you are producing before He entrusts you with greater fields to cultivate. And I want to press this point even further. Testing builds humility. It keeps you grounded. The person who has never been tested is easily deceived by success. They believe that power elevates their worth, when in truth, worth is built in the testing. Humility is learned in the waiting, in the struggling, in the moments when you must submit to process, to discipline, to God's timing. And humility is essential because it keeps power from becoming a weapon against others and transforms it into a tool for service, for impact, for legacy. And there is something remarkable about this process. The testing also strengthens your vision. Many people give up on their purpose because the path is difficult. They become impatient when the results are delayed. But the person who is tested learns to see beyond the immediate, to trust in the unseen, to persist with faith. Testing stretches your perspective, broadens your understanding, and aligns your heart with God's greater plan. It teaches you to move not by emotion, not by impulse, but by principle, by conviction, by purpose. And so, the testing is not a punishment, it is a teacher. It is not a delay, it is a preparation. It is not a challenge to defeat you, it is an opportunity to equip you. And those who embrace the testing with patience, with faith, with perseverance, will emerge not only ready to receive power, but ready to wield it rightly, to lead wisely, to serve humbly, and to impact generations beyond themselves. And as we continue, I want you to start seeing your own life through this lens. Every difficult relationship, every disappointment, every moment of waiting, every trial of faith, it is all part of the divine curriculum designed to build your capacity. The testing is personalized, it is deliberate, it is intentional. And the more you understand this, the more you begin to see your life not as a series of obstacles, but as a series of opportunities to develop the character required for the influence God intends to place in your hands. And now let us consider another dimension of testing, resilience. God's testing is designed to see if you will remain steadfast when circumstances press hard against you. It is one thing to stand when life is comfortable, but it is another thing to stand when everything within and around you is telling you to quit. Just as steel must be folded, hammered, and reheated to gain strength, your character is strengthened in the fires of trial. The pressure exposes weaknesses, yes, but it also creates endurance, fortitude, and the kind of perseverance that no ordinary blessing can teach. And here's the deeper truth: resilience is not simply enduring difficulty, it is maintaining integrity under difficulty. Many people can endure, but not all endure righteously. They bend, they compromise, they justify, they abandon principles when tested. God's testing is designed to reveal whether your endurance is anchored in righteousness or in convenience. True power can only rest on a foundation of integrity. And that is why the testing is so deliberate. Consider a river cutting through stone. It does not happen overnight. It does not happen because the river is the strongest force in the world. It happens because the river is consistent. Over time, with persistence, the rock yields, not because it wanted to, but because the force was relentless, purposeful, and disciplined. Your life is like that river. The tests, the trials, the pressures, they are the channels through which God is forming consistency in your character. And consistency is the hallmark of someone who is ready to be entrusted with lasting influence. And notice this testing also reveals hidden potential. Often, you do not know the strength that lies within you until you are tested. You do not know the depth of your faith until the storm comes. You do not know the endurance of your spirit until patience is required. God's tests are designed to bring out what is already there, to call forth qualities that may have been dormant, to awaken abilities that only reveal themselves under pressure. That is why the testing is never wasted. It exposes, it strengthens, it awakens, it prepares. And let us not overlook another truth: testing cultivates discernment. Power without discernment is dangerous, but power with discernment is transformative. God's test puts you in situations where you must choose wisely, where you must judge accurately, where you must navigate complexity without error. You learn to see beyond surface appearances, to read character, to understand consequences, to respond rather than react. That is a skill that no amount of influence alone can teach. It must be forged in the quiet, unseen moments of trial. And here is something profound. The testing is also about perspective. When you are tested, you learn to value what truly matters. You learn that position without purpose is meaningless, that influence without principle is destructive, that success without character is fleeting. Testing forces you to confront your priorities, to clarify your values, to understand that true power is not measured by what you control, but by what you can positively affect. It shapes vision, it sharpens judgment, and it aligns your ambition with God's higher plan. Think about a sculptor working on a block of marble. Every strike, every careful adjustment, every patient moment is preparing the stone for the masterpiece. But the block must first endure the hammer, the chisel, the shaping before its true potential is revealed. In the same way, your life is the marble, your experiences are the chisel, and the tests you face are the strikes that remove what is unnecessary, what is weak, and what is unfit, revealing the potential for greatness that lies within. And as the testing continues, something remarkable begins to emerge: wisdom. Not the kind learned in books or through observation alone, but wisdom forged in experience, in trial, in reflection, and in surrender. God's testing produces discernment in decision, making, clarity in vision, and insight into the human heart. It teaches you to lead not from impulse, not from ego, not from desire, but from principle. And that is why character is tested before power, because wisdom must accompany authority, and wisdom is forged in the furnace of trial, not in the glow of onion privilege. And so, the testing is never arbitrary, it is never meaningless, and it is never wasted. Every circumstance, every challenge, every delay, every moment that stretches your patience, tests your integrity, or challenges your faith is a carefully designed opportunity to prepare you to handle influence in a way that honors God and serves humanity. The testing is intentional, the refinement is deliberate, and the purpose is eternal. And now, I want you to hear this with clarity deep in your spirit. God is preparing you for something far greater than you can see. He is shaping a life, a character, a heart, and a mind capable of carrying influence without being crushed, of leading without being corrupted, of serving without compromise. The testing, the waiting, the pressure is all a call to responsibility. It is a call to discipline. It is a call to purpose. Do not despise the moments that challenge you. Do not resent the seasons that stretch you. Do not grow weary in the quiet work of character development, because these are the very moments that will define you when power comes. When the world hands opportunity to the unprepared, it collapses under the weight. But when you embrace the refining process, when you allow patience, integrity, and faithfulness to shape you, you become the person capable of carrying what God intends to place in your hands. You have a responsibility to yourself, to the people who will be impacted by your life, and to the purposes God has set before you. To walk in influence without wisdom is to invite destruction. To walk in clarity and discipline is to create transformation. The power that will come is not for vanity, it is for vision. The authority you will receive is not for pride, it is for principle. And the legacy you will leave is not determined by chance, but by the character you build in the quiet, unseen moments. So I call you now to stand firm. I call you to take responsibility for the life that is being shaped within you. I call you to embrace the discipline, to welcome the testing, and to pursue your purpose with unwavering faith. Do not chase position. Do not pursue recognition. Pursue character. Pursue integrity. Pursue preparation. And when God gives the power, it will not overwhelm you. It will honor you. And never forget this. The world does not need more people with authority. It needs people who have been tested, whose character has been proven, and whose purpose is unwavering. Be that person. Be ready. Be faithful. Be strong. And when the season of influence arrives, you will rise not just as someone who has power, but as someone who has been proven worthy to use it for the good, for the purpose, and for the glory of God. Remember always, God does not give power to the untested, but to the prepared. And the preparation you in today will be the strength that sustains every tomorrow. Rise in character, rise in faith, rise in purpose, and watch as your life becomes the measure of God's intentional, unstoppable design.